Kids vs. Aliens, a sci-fi horror film that is coming to Shudder on April the 14th and will also be on physical media on April the 18th. But is it worth your time, and should you be sitting down to invest to watch it? Well, stick around and find out my thoughts. An all-time rager of a teen house party turns to terror when aliens attack, forcing two warring siblings to band together to survive the night. The film stars Dominic Mariche, Phoebe Rex, Calem MacDonald, Asher Grayson, Ben Tactor, Emma Vickers, Isaiah Fortune, and Jonathan Torrens, and was directed by Jason Eisener, who has done films like VHS 2, Hobo with a Shotgun, and The ABCs of Death. Really, where to start with this film? So lately, Shudder has been giving me some really bad screeners. And this one, it was really bad, very awful to try to get through. But the positives that I can say about this film, and I have two basically. I do like the color schemes and the way that they filmed it a little bit. That's really all the positives I can say about this. So you basically have these little kids that are shooting home videos and they're trying to make movies out of them. And they have this babysitter named Sam, who is obviously much older than them. And then they have this rival gang, a bully rather, that picks on them named Billy. And he really likes Sam, and Sam really likes him as well. In between all that, because the movie's only 75 minutes, you have these aliens end up attacking Earth, and they're at this party that they throw, and that's really the basis of the movie. But what really makes this movie really bad, first off, it's a short, or I should say, it's based on a short from VHS 2, which I've never seen that, so I don't know the actual short from that, but I heard that it is based off from that. And the director, I haven't watched any of his films before. I've definitely heard of some of the films that I mentioned in the beginning of my review. But this director and the way that he wrote the dialogue in this is so cheesy. It's so bad. The characters and how they speak is absolutely insufferable. These kids literally drop F-bombs every third or fourth word. And half the time they're shouting at the top of their lungs when they're doing this dialogue. And it's completely annoying. It's very cheap. A lot of the music, it's very cheesy. It really reminded me of like a Goosebumps episode back in the 90s. I don't know if they were trying to go that route, but sometimes they would even have suspenseful music in it, which there's nothing suspenseful going on at that time. And literally, there is like music in every scene. I felt like on every scene we have some kind of background music. Half the time when the dialogue's going on, we have a bunch of music going on in the background. And I was thinking to myself, can we chill out a little bit on the background music? But it just keeps going throughout this film, and it's 75 minutes of this. Before the aliens get on screen, we get about 30 minutes with all this dialogue between the kids and all the setup, which the dialogue is absolutely awful, like I mentioned. And I feel like these actors or these kids, these are like the little kids that didn't make the cut going to audition for Stranger Things, because it's just very insufferable listening to them on screen. So then we get the aliens, and they come, and they're going to attack. And before they attack, they try to build it up with a few little suspenseful moments, which doesn't really be suspenseful at all. And then when they get on screen, there are a couple kills that are half decent. I would say like maybe one gory kill that I can really remember, and a couple other kills they're all right, I guess. But really, I don't think these aliens are scary or funny or really pose the biggest threat to me. And also how these aliens are actually dressed up. You can tell that these are just men and women dressed in rubber suits attacking these little kids. And it's laughable. It's really bad. The aliens also growl, which was like, really? They growl? And I also found that some of the masks that the aliens had, one of them looked like a Slipknot mask from Corey Taylor. And the other mask, it looked like the DJ Sid, his mask. So I was just laughing about that throughout. I mean, these aliens are the most laughable things on screen. I don't know what kind of budget this movie had, but the way that they try to portray these aliens on screen, man, it's so bad, guys. Like, I don't even know, like, what is Shudder doing? Like, what are they doing when they make these deals on movies? Are they even watching these movies? Like, Who are they thinking when they put this on streaming service? And mind you, Shudder hasn't really had a lot of stuff the past few months. And this is really the only movie they have this month. So out of all movies, this is what's coming out on their streaming service. I mean, I'm really baffled that this movie is coming out on their platform. I really am. I don't know who to recommend this to. I think the most satisfying thing, because I didn't like the characters in this, was towards the end what actually happened. That was probably the best part about the movie. And then, of course, when the credits rolled, that was great that it was over. I didn't laugh in this movie, so I don't know if it was supposed to be funny, because it wasn't. But I'm really interested to hear what people think on Shudder about this movie. I really think that a lot of people will be tearing this movie up. I think a lot of the, I would say, casual horror fans, I don't see them liking this. But I think horror fans that like really cheesy kind of stuff, they may like this film. But for me, I couldn't stand this film at all. It was one of those films that I knew about 20 to 30 minutes in that it was not going to be for me, especially with the dialogue. And as we just kept going, I really wanted to shut it off, to be honest with you. It was really that bad. But I think what at least made some parts somewhat watchable was a couple of the little gore parts with the aliens. That was really about it. But other than that, there was no character to root for. I didn't feel like there was anybody where I was like, all right, I want this character to survive, or I want the aliens to win. I just didn't really care for really anybody involved here. And overall, it was just a very suffering watch. So my final consensus of this movie is, I think it's a little bit too childish for adults, but I also think kids can't watch this either, because there's a ton of F-bombs in this movie. So I'm not sure who this actually is for. That's kind of my main point as well, because you make a movie, who's this for as far as an audience? And I really had a hard time figuring out who would actually enjoy this. But as far as a score for this film, I would give this a 1 out of 5. Very bad movie. Definitely skip it. Just think that it doesn't exist. That's the best way I can put this movie. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it kind of meh? Have I convinced you not to watch this or to check it out? I know a lot of people like some bad films, so maybe this will be up your alley. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys on my next review.